Hello everyone, my name is Art Russell. Welcome to my channel. Last night I was sitting in my living room when it became very clear to me that I needed to make this video for you. Most of you will realize that I speak quite often about non-duality, which is our essential nature, and also about the law of attraction. And the reason behind both of those topics is to be of service to you, to help improve the quality of your apparent life. Now, it became even more important to me last night to express my purpose. My purpose behind these videos is to alleviate suffering. And I believe that I have some information that can be of service to you. It's related to lack of love for ourself, our true self, and identifying with being the person. Now, I know that sounds odd because we're so strongly conditioned to do it. If we live long enough, most of us are going to carry, I should say, if our body-mind lives long enough, most of us are going to experience problems. We may claim that we don't have any baggage, but most of us are carrying baggage whether we know it or not. And I've written out a few issues that can arise during life. And just to share, not to get us on a downward slope, but just to be able to relate. Many of us, I haven't experienced this personally, but we'll go through bankruptcy. Perhaps we planned a business, we overextended our finances, and it happened. And there may have been some feelings of shame related to that, although, to be honest, I admire someone who has the courage to start a business. Maybe two. What about this one? What if we got divorce? What about 3 divorces? Now, again, that can be an issue that some of us carry. I see no shame in it. It just means, again, we've reached out for love. This is life. Here's another one. How about poor body images or poor body image? Are some of us carrying that? I know that I used to. I don't anymore. And I'll explain how that came about. And that doesn't mean that I'm the walking or epitome of ideal masculinity, but I love my body 100%. How about this? Various failures, maybe business failures or career failures or relationship failures. Again, can you see how all these terms, just even the term itself, failure versus success, persons, the perspective of the person is loves to bathe in that. Yes, I did that, I accomplished that, but we don't like to, we won't bring up the stuff on the other shoulder. Maybe that was labeled, that we labeled, or was labeled by apparent others as failure. How about this? Some will undoubtedly have spent some time in prison. Does that have to be the end of your quality of life? Or could it have been a dramatic turning point that helped lead to getting life back on a better expression? What about drug problems, whether prescribed or illicit drugs? Now, what I'd like to offer today is, would you be open? Would you be able to keep your mind open if I was to share some information from several books that may be able to help you transcend your view of your life. Now, this would also require processing reality in a much different way. So let's get into it. Now, this is unusual for me, but today I'm going to begin with a passage from my book entitled This Taste of Flesh and Bones. It's about the subject of enlightenment, about knowing ourselves at a much deeper level, and also the basic way of deliberately applying the law of attraction. All of the chapters of my book, I began with a different quote from various other authors from other books. This one is by Charles F. Hannell, who wrote the Master Key System, which is a major, very important law of attraction book. Here it is. The spirit of the thing is the thing. Not the body, not the mind, the spirit. The part of us that we're unable to see or sense, but we definitely can and are or be it. That's what we essentially are, spirit or consciousness. Here's another passage from Happy Pocket Full of Money. Now, this is not relating that money is the only thing to give us happiness as we're sold in our modern society. It's about our health, our wealth, in all aspects of our life. Now, here's where we get into some different territory, and it's metaphysical. And I didn't realize this is where I was going years ago when I began reading these books. Here's a quote. Now, again, just see if you can be open to contemplating this. The world is an illusion, as we will see much more clearly as we move on. See it as an illusion. Believe it to be an illusion designed to help you know and experience yourself. That's self in uppercase. That's our spiritual self that is eternal, immortal. Once you do so, you will always remember to create the next version of the illusion that you wish to have. You literally create the next version of the world by painting the mind's images with certainty. The world does not have to be as it is. It simply is because we all agree it is. So you might be questioning, come on, Art. You're trying to say that the table upon which the laptop here doesn't really exist. I'm saying it doesn't exist independent of the mind that perceives it. That's a quote from the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Now, if you take a look online for the double slit experiment, you'll find some short videos that explain that light behaves as a probability of being a wave or particles. Those particles, those minutest, smallest in the quantum world, quantum physics, make up the reality of things, apparent things that we see. In this paradigm of reality, I would call it truth. We acknowledge that everything, including our body, is made by the mind. Now, this is totally different than the way we've all been conditioned to process reality. We've been conditioned to process that this body and mind exist independent of an observer. And we believe that it carries the sum total of its good experiences and its bad experiences. That if it has all those problems, some of those problems that I mentioned, that spirit must actually carry those for the whole of this life. Well, what if we could see that life is not as it appears to be. So let's go a little, I'll read a passage here and then I'll explain a little bit more. This book, as I may have mentioned before, is Who Am I? Sri Ramana Maharshi. Now, I know I did mention it in another video, but it's one of the easiest pointings to truth that we can understand. Is there no difference between waking and dream? Now, this was asked of us by a seeker to Sri Ramana Maharshi, who, as I mentioned before, realized his essential nature when his body mind was only 16 years of age. Basically, he awakened from the dream of life. Waking is long and dream short. Other than this, there is no difference. Just as waking happenings seem real while awake, so do those in a dream while dreaming. In a dream, the mind takes on another body. In both waking and dream states, thoughts, names, and forms occur simultaneously. So can you see that one of these issues we're talking about is whether what we really are, or whether we're suffering under identification of who we think and assume we are. This also alleviates us of some of the pressures that arise when we believe ourselves to be the doer. Now, you might be saying, Art, I did those things. I did this, I did that, I went to prison, or I had 5 divorces or whatever, and you might be carrying, wow, it sure looks like I'm on that failure side of the shoulder. Just keep on listening, if you will. In our nighttime dreams, do we not always also feel very much like the doer? In fact, the dream can be so real that when the body mind rises in the morning, we go, wow, I'm so glad that was a dream. Maybe you shot somebody or got into a fight or robbed a bank, something like that. What was the bank, let's say, made of in the dream? Nighttime dream. It was made of mind. It's made of consciousness in motion. That's what's making this right now. If that seems too bizarre to consider, well, I'll offer some more information here. This is from, I'm going to read a passage from the Ashtavakra Gita. This is some of the ancient texts related to Advaita Vedanta, which means not two, which means the world of duality, of believing that I am a subject here as the body, and that, let's say, this is an object, and that I am separate from them, that this is the dualistic perspective, and this leads to a lot of suffering. So Advaita was offering pointings and teachings by ancient sages to say that no, this all is arising from oneness. Here's the passage. Indeed, duality is the root cause of suffering. Believing absolutely, with absolute certainty, that we are the body mind, which when a shift occurs here of perspective, you view it as, no, that's my hand. It's not me, it's mine. It's used for this incarnation or this body. Duality is the root of suffering. There is no remedy for it other than knowing that whatever is visible is unreal and that I am one, pure consciousness. Now I call that God. You could call it consciousness, pure consciousness, Christ consciousness, Krishna consciousness. Let's go to another book here. Now, this was one of the books that I found in my search and study over 40 years of studying about the law of attraction. It's the Kabbalion. Now, I've mentioned in another video that when I first read their principles, especially the first one, it seemed impossible to me. Here it is. The principle of mentalism. The all is mind. The universe is mental. Now, as I stated before, when I first read that, I thought, no, this is crazy. There's a world of things, solid things. Well, science is telling us, and it has been for a long time, that things are made of energy. An atom, which is once claimed to have been, the building, as for many long years been claimed to be the building blocks of reality, are 99.99999% empty space. How do we get solid out of that? Let's go to Transurfing 78 by Vadim Zealand. A passage here which may lend some credibility to what I'm sharing. A non-lucid dream in which the events of the dream occur irrespective of your will only has control over you because you are unaware of the fact that you are dreaming. It is exactly the same in waking life. Until you become aware of the fact that you have allowed your mind to become totally immersed in a problem, circumstances will continue to control you. Stop, shake off the delusion, and remember that reality, this right now, is a lucid dream, one you can control. Once you have woken up, practice transurfing in your waking dream, meaning hold the right thoughts. Don't react to circumstances so dramatically. When we know that we're spirit, eternal, a lot of fear falls away. A lot of reactivity falls away. We can see that we're aware of what our body-mind, which is actually an experience. It's an experience in consciousness. It does not stand independent on its own. Nothing in this does. Just as you would not say that there was an actual bank that I referred to in your nighttime dream. In the morning, you didn't wake up in a vault if you were a bank robber. The vault, the bank, was made of mind. Let's go to another book. Neville Goddard's Interpretation of Scripture. Again, Law of Attraction book by the Barbadian mystic Neville Goddard, who lectured widely in the 50s and 60s, early 70s too, I believe, in the United States. Things have no reality other than in consciousness. Now, I probably skimmed over that when I first read this book, but I caught it on the second or third read. And highlighting books such as this really helps you get the information at a deeper level. You'll remember, gee, did I read that somewhere? Instead of basically sleepwalking through life, as the majority of beings are doing, unaware that they're actually spirits having a human experience. Things have no reality other than in consciousness. Therefore, get the consciousness first, and the thing is compelled to appear. What he's basically saying is, imagine what you desire as though you already have it. Now, from the human perspective, which we've been strongly conditioned to believe that we are, will believe that it's dependent on skill or the right circumstances or born into the right type of family, or, oh, you might say, I come from the wrong side of the tracks, this is why I can't achieve this. Trust me, I know that mindset very well. But I'm grateful for the law of attraction teachings because they've helped me transcend that. The law of attraction teachings state that we must get the consciousness first. If it's greater health we want, that means that we must stop paying as much attention. I don't mean stop treatment or anything like that. I mean stop having thoughts of your disease or body problems on your mind 100% of the waking hours. What I'm saying is, can you squeeze in some time for visualizing that you have greater circumstances as far as your health, your wealth, or your relationships? Can you imagine that? What this paradigm of reality allows is that whatever we're impressing into the subconscious mind will be expressed as our apparent reality. Here's another book. Now, this is the Lankavatara Sutra, a famous book that offers some pointings by the historical Buddha. Now, I hope you keep in mind that we're all actually Buddhas. Buddha is just a title to mean that we know what we truly are. We're no longer identifying with being, in my case, Art Russell. We know what we really are. That again refers to Christ consciousness, Krishna consciousness, just consciousness itself, or you could call yourself source or the unified field. Not call yourself, but know that's what you are. Here's the passage. All that is seen in the world is devoid of effort and action, because all things in the world are like a dream, or like an image miraculously projected. This is not comprehended by the philosophers and the ignorant. Now, by ignorant, he just means unaware. He's not calling anyone stupid, or wasn't calling anyone stupid, nor am I. Ignorant, just unaware. And once we know better, we can help ourselves create better conditions for the apparent life. This is not comprehended by the philosophers and the ignorant, but those who thus see things, see them truthfully. He would mean with clarity, rather than through the filter of the perspective of the person. The person is actually just a perspective. It does not exist on its own. Again, I'd like to refer you to YouTube presentations about the double slit experiment, where it shows, especially with the Copenhagen interpretation, that when an observer is looking, light behaves very differently, whether it's giving a particle, an apparent particle, or wave function. What we're thinking and believing about ourselves is influencing what shows up in our apparent circumstances. If you've enjoyed this video, I invite you to subscribe to my channel or click a like. There's more information available through my free articles at thinktwice.me, which is a WordPress blog where I write free articles about the nature of consciousness, spirituality, and the law of attraction. And also through my book entitled This Taste of Flesh and Bones, which is available through Amazon. I'd like to thank you for watching and spending time with me. I'd also like you to know that I care very deeply for all of you. And I'd like to be able to help improve the quality of your personal and professional life. Bye for now. We'll talk again soon.